Right now, let's head on over to Kevin Richards, our Tech News with Kevin Richards. Kevin, of course, the owner of Ventura Web Design, and by way of disclosure, they're the guys who did my website, great website, alanstock.com, and you can always find out more about that by going to my page and going to the right-hand side, and you'll see the Ventura Web Sign logo, and you can click onto that and find out more about them. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, Alan.
Good morning, Kevin. All right, let's talk about some of these things. I want to... Wait, I want to talk about something. This is on my mind first, okay?
Let's do it.
Siri. You and I talked about this. You said something about Siri can show you what planes are flying overhead right now. Are you serious?
Yeah, Siri's awesome. It's got quite a few cool things you can do. So you know how to use Siri, right?
I have it, but I've never used it. My wife does, but I have not.
So you pull out your iPhone, you hold down that main big button at the bottom, and Siri will pop up, and it'll make a little beep sound to let you know that she's ready to listen to you.
Oh, there it is. What can I help you with? Yeah, there I see it. Okay.
Exactly. So you say, Siri, what flights are above me? Or just say, planes overhead. And you've got to have an internet connection so she can figure out what you're saying. And then she will show you a actual list of flights that are right above you.
Well, I had no idea. You say flights overhead?
So you say planes overhead. I'm sure planes overhead she could probably figure that out.
Planes overhead.
And
wow.
So obviously Siri is accessing another database. That particular database is powered by a search engine called Wolfram Alpha. And so basically it's pulling data from the FAA and things like that, and it's basically displaying that data to you. It's quite cool. You can see it tells you generally where to look in the sky. It tells you the angle that they're at, the altitude. It tells you what type of plane is flying. It tells you the flight number. Gives you all the information you could possibly want.
See, Mitch Kelly's holding his phone up now, showing me that he just went to it and he did it. So he's not only traffic reports, he's going to be telling us now what planes are flying overhead. I mean, what is Wolfram Alpha, by the way?
It's just a really cool search engine that is really designed for research, and just Google it to find it because it's a little hard to spell, but just Wolfram Alpha, and you can find a lot of neat data. You can ask it questions. You can type in how many days until Christmas, and it'll actually make that calculation correctly and tell you. And it'll tell you how many weekdays there are. It'll tell you how many weekends between. I mean, it's got a lot of good information.
Wow, Wolfram Alpha, good stuff to know about. Tell me about some of these fake links that are going up on Facebook, because people warned us about some things about this, about the Malaysian flight going down, and I've heard some warnings about that you shouldn't go to all these places. What are they doing, and how do you know where to go?
Well, of course, the hackers are always preying on the good nature of human beings, and what they do is they post whenever there's a major disaster that affects everyone worldwide. They like to post fake pages, and those pages will lead you to fake surveys, and they'll get you to fake like things. But worse than that, they'll get you to download malware onto your computer, and that malware can grab your personal information when you type it into websites. It can do keystroke logging. You just got to be really careful when you're surfing the internet, because you've got to pay attention to the websites you're actually going to and make sure it's not one of these fake hacker sites.
So how do you know that then? I mean, you don't know that, I guess, do you?
It's really hard to tell, and I obviously, being an internet guy, I can look at the web address and the URL, and I can understand the servers that I'm going to, and I can pay attention to the coding. But most people don't have that history to be able to do that. So what I would encourage most people to do is only visit sites that are trusted, and look at that address bar. Make sure it says the same name of where you expect it to be taking you. All
right, so if all of a sudden you see a headline somewhere that the Malaysian flight's been found, you can go to, Fox or CNN or Drudge or whatever, but you should kind of avoid the XYZ stuff. You have no idea what it is.
Right, and one of the spammers and hackers are smart. They use words like breaking or shocking video to really try to get you to think, oh, I've got to click on this now. I've got to be the first one to know.
Right.
And, just try to avoid that temptation.
Okay, I'm avoiding it. All right, I want to talk about some other things as well. I know Facebook has had an increase in revenues lately. I've heard that because a lot of people say, oh, Facebook is going to be dead. But they have had an increase in revenues, have they not?
Yep, Facebook is not dead yet. Facebook has been smart. They've changed their focus. Obviously, they've identified that more and more of the traffic they're going to get is going to be from mobile devices. So they've focused on that, and they've successfully increased their share of the mobile ad spending worldwide. Companies like Google and Facebook, they care about advertising dollars, and so Facebook is smart. They've identified it's all about mobile, and they're successfully marketing to businesses who want to advertise to users on mobile.
Wow. I want to talk about, in a moment, we're going to have traffic in a moment, find out what's going on in the air and the sky and the ground. But I want to talk about Snoop drones in a minute. It's nothing to do with Snoop Dogg didn't change his name to Snoop Drone, but I want to talk about Snoop drones in a minute and find out about those, because I know that's been in the news, and they're saying that they can actually come over you and they can capture information from your phone and get everything that they want to know about you. So stick around. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Kevin Richards, Tech News, joining us right now, and appreciate you being with us.
Absolutely.
Can't believe with Siri you can actually see planes flying overhead. Something brand new I never heard of before. Let me ask you about this. I've been reading about these Snoop drones that have been created by hackers, where I actually saw a whole thing on the news the other day in England somewhere, where they went over and they flew over places and they actually honed in on somebody with she had a cell phone, and it went down and it got all her information. It got her passwords, codes. It got they got her home address from the thing and everything. And of course it was for TV and a news piece, so they didn't show everything, and they erased it all. But you can hack into this kind of stuff.
Well, whenever you allow someone else to connect to your device through Wi-Fi, especially when you're setting up that Wi-Fi to act like an internet connection, then yes, you're passing all your data through that connection you've just made. So, when you've got your iPhone, you've got to be careful. If you're walking about, walking through the mall, you need to turn off your Bluetooth, turn off your Wi-Fi if you're not using it. If you're not expecting to connect to any networks, you need to have that off. All
right, so the Wi-Fi, you said let people hop onto your Wi-Fi, but don't you have to allow them to do it ahead of time?
Well, there's two different settings on your iPhone. You can either allow it to automatically connect to networks, or you can set it to ask you before it connects to networks. So obviously the second is better than the first, but even still, when you keep your Wi-Fi on, you are transmitting data, because it's finding out, it's always looking for available networks, and when it talks to a network and says, hey, are you available, it's passing a little bit of your data along to it.
Wow. And and Bluetooth, you said, does the same thing?
Well, Bluetooth is it's not exactly the same, because you're not necessarily sending the same information through Bluetooth, but yes, anytime you give somebody access, or you leave your device open for access, is a better way of putting it. It's very similar to just literally letting somebody plug into your phone through a wired connection. You've got to be careful about that. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are designed to transmit data, so you've got to protect your data.
God. All right. You're gonna get me paranoid doing this every week with you. You know that, don't you? There's a rumor out there that iPads are becoming more and more useful, and I see people more and more and more, no matter what it is, using iPads. You go to stores. I went to the store to buy a shirt a couple of weeks ago. Oh, you know the shirt I got. I went to get a shirt, and and they had an iPad right there to see where it was in the store, and they did. They connected everything on an iPad.
Yeah, the iPads are definitely a great tool, especially for retail. Retailers are starting to get smarter about how they use them. Unfortunately, that might actually result in some lower needs for employees at retail outlets, because as you become more efficient using technology, you may not need 3 people to go find that item. You'll actually be able to find it right there on the iPad like you did. But the big thing that's coming out now is that Microsoft may actually be making their Office suite available on the iPad, and that would really be a big bridge that has been missing from the iPad up until now.
Well, I can understand the places like where I got the shirt. They can go on a computer, just to see all this stuff, like they've been doing for quite a while. But now they're all switching over to iPads. Everybody's walking around with an iPad and doing everything on iPads these days.
Yep, and you can also use the smaller devices, the iPod Touch. Small businesses can actually work with web design companies to implement a one-stop inventory system where you can use your iPad or your iPod Touch as part of your your actual point of sale system, the cash register. You can walk around with that, so you don't have to actually go up to a cash register anymore. You can just find an associate and check out wherever they're at. And one of the big benefits of that is to commingle your inventory. A lot of times retailers have online inventory and in-store inventory. If you can combine those two together, it lowers your inventory costs and it makes everything more efficient.
All right. Kevin Richards, Ventura Web Design, thank you so much for joining us, making me a little more paranoid today, but also illuminating me to what Siri is all about. I haven't used it for that purpose. I haven't used it at all. I'm going to have to get over to that. If you want to find out more about Ventura Web Design, go to alanstock.com. On the right-hand side of the page, you'll notice it says Ventura Web Design. And then you click onto that, and that's what you're going to get. And you'll be able to contact Kevin Richards through that. I appreciate you being with us, and we will do it again next week.
Hey, thank you, Alan. It's always fun.
Take good care. Kevin Richards, Ventura Web Design with Tech News. Web Design.